Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hello and welcome to this Monday Postcast. I'm Maddie Plale, and as per usual in the last few weeks, I'm joined by James Hill in the studio. We've also got Tom Siegel and Tom Nugent from Paddy Power on the line as well. Coming up in the show, we're going to look ahead to some top-class racing at Ascot on Saturday. We're going to look for some more Cheltenham clues that we've received over the weekend. And, of course, there's your usual chance to win your free bet from Paddy Power. So plenty to get stuck into this weekend. Plenty of big performances to get us excited after what's been a bit of a barren spell. But we're going to start by looking ahead to Ascot on Saturday and the feature race, the Royal Salute Whisky Clarence House Chase. Hello, Tom. Welcome back. We've not seen you on the Postcast in a while. And do you have any prices on this one for us, please?
Thanks very much, Maddie. Yeah, we're on the 4-7 favourite at the moment. Brain Power is next in 5-1. Top Gamble 7-1. Kyle Murlock 10s alongside San Benedito. God's Own 12-1, and we're 20s bar. Okay.
And do you have any strong opinions on this? Do you think it's just a walkover for Undersow, Tom?
Well, if for anyone who has any concerns over ground or whatever, Undersow won his last race on a Cork card where the last 2 races were called off because the ground was so bad. So he should absolutely love conditions in Ascot now. It's fairly soft underfoot, so I can't see him being beaten, to be honest.
Okay, and is it a similar story for you, Tom?
No, Tom? Not at all. I don't think it'll be soft at all. I live just down the road. We had a bit of rain this morning. What is it now? Soft now, but the forecast is for really windy for the rest of the week. It was good to soft before the rain came this morning. I don't think it'll be bad at all at Ascot. Not that I think that's the issue. I think Brain Power is a big danger. I really do. I know he's not got the form over fences, but Nicky Henderson thinks he'll almost win the Arkle. He thinks he's that good. If he almost wins the Arkle, then he can almost beat Undersow, in my opinion. And I think he will serve it. I think Ascot is his perfect track. I think he's got Speredek and Undersow to give him a lead. I think that was the problem with him at Sandown last time in the Henry, the whatever it is. I think he's a big danger. I really do. I think 5 or 6 to 1. If 8 ran, it would be a cracking each way bet. But with just, I think there'll probably be 4 or 5. I don't think any of the others, Top Gamble, Carmel, I don't think they're in his class, in Undersow's class. But Brain Power could be. Let's not forget, he was incredible. He wasn't beaten far in any of his races last year, including Champion Hurdles and Punchestown races. I think the key to him is getting a strong pace. He's going to get it. Ascot suits him perfectly. I think there could be an upset.
Okay, he's made a strong case there for Brain Power. What do you make of Surname, who won the Wayward Lad last time? I'm quite interested in him at a massive price.
I don't think he's good enough myself. Look, he was beaten at Newbury by a good horse, wasn't he? Big March. He looked much better at Kempton. The time was very good. I've no problems with him being a decent horse. I'm just not sure. I think Brain Power's top class. That's my issue. I don't think Surname will ever be top class. I think Brain Power is a really, really top horse. I don't think we've seen anything like the best of him yet. I was there, from what you could see when he won that big handicap at Ascot last year, because it was in the fog. But I thought he was as impressive a handicap performance as I've seen for many years. And I think he's really good. I think he's really good, and I think he's got a chance of beating him.
Okay, so you'll be getting stuck into that price. Jimmy, what about you?
Well, I think Undersow is going to be hard to beat. I've never been one of those big fans of him. I've always felt he's been a bit overrated at times. But you can't knock how consistent he is. I mean, don't think he's ever finished outside the first 2 over fences in completed starts. And I don't think he's ever been beaten when the word soft's been in the going description in completed starts over fences. So he's hugely consistent. I think you've got to say he's the most likely winner. For a bit of value each way, I mean, I've always felt Kyle Morlock actually could be a horse on soft ground over 2 miles, a horse who could be quite interesting. He's a fantastic jumper when he's at his best. And he didn't have the best of times last season, but he was really well fancied at Cheltenham. And he just, after making a mistake at the water jump, he never seemed to be the same horse again after that. He was travelling very well up to that point. I've always felt this is actually more his trip than 2.5 miles in these sorts of winter conditions. So I probably have a little bit on him each way.
Okay, Kyle Morlock for you. We'll move on now to Ascot. We spoke about Ascot. We'll move on now to Haydock, where we've got the Peter Marsh Chase and the Champion Hurdle Trial. Has anyone got any sort of long-range thoughts on this one? I'll go to you, Jimmy, first on this question.
In the Peter Marsh, I think Tinton Theatre is quite interesting. only put up £4 for winning at Kempton last time, beating Pilgrims Bay. I thought he won comfortably enough on that occasion, and he looks to be a horse who's going in the right direction. And he does seem to have plenty of good form on really soft ground, which is what you're going to need this Saturday at Haydock.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be really, really testing. He's a sound jumper, seems to be going in the right way, and has a nice lightweight. Lightweights have a good record in this race.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Big fan of Tintin Theatre. He's been a bit of a cliff horse for me, so hopefully he can win the Peter Marsh. And anything in that Champion Hurdle trial? Had a chance to look at it yet?
Yes, I think Chabello probably won't be carrying a penalty, will he? He hasn't won a Grade 2 or anything like that in the last 12 to 18 months. So we know he's got form on heavy ground over course and distance, because he won that race at Haydock last season, which was just, I think, a conditions event. So he's not got much to find with the new one on the Cheltenham form. He's only got a couple of lengths to find, and it could be that conditions are more in his favour. I know the new one's won this many times before, but I've never really felt he likes really soft ground. So yeah, I'd go for him against that one.
Okay, Chittibello. Tom, anything for you in either the Peter Marsh or the Champion Hurdle trial?
Which
Seagull,
one?
sorry.
Me or Tom?
Seagull, sorry. Yeah, you.
I like talking about ground. I think it's like, if you think Ascot's going to be bad, Ascot will be nothing like Haydock. Haydock will be unraceable virtually. For me, when conditions get like that, Venetia's always a place that I like to go. I think Yalarenki could bounce back. He's got very good Haydock form. I think if you remember last year, was it this race he won in? I can't remember, but he won a race at Haydock last year in December. It wasn't this race. He beat Vieux-Lurle, or whatever it's called, by an absolute mile. He never came off the bridle. I think he's down to he's £8 higher here, but he's down to a mark they can definitely win off. And I think he's very interesting in the ground like that. And in the I haven't really had a good look at the Champion Hurdle trial. I do agree with James there that Chittibello's a chance, but I think, I'm in these races, I'm looking for a price. Maybe one who's got form in soft ground or an Agrapart. And I'd be fascinated to see if Nicky Henderson runs Call Me Lord. Yeah. Because he said beforehand that he was worried about him going this way round left-handed, which Haydock, all knows, quite tight now. So if he's going anywhere left-handed, this will be a bit of a risk for him. But if he repeats the form of his Sandown win the other day, I think he's a player against the new one too. But as I say, it's conditions for me at Haydock. I think you just got to stick with horses that will go through the Somme, basically.
Okay, so maybe more of a watching brief, that Champion Hurdle trial for you. We did mention the other week, actually, Call Me Lord could be one that's going to be entered for the Champion Hurdle. So be interesting to see how he does if he lines up at Haydock. Tom Nugent, I should have probably gone to you first, but have we got any prices on the Peter Marsh or the Champion Hurdle trial?
Unfortunately, not yet.
That's a good job. I didn't then.
yeah. I wouldn't have any major opinion on either of the races, to be honest. I'd agree with the lads about Chittibello. I do really like him, like his sire Sageberg. He stands in Ireland now, and I'm sure once he gets a couple of Irish craps on the track, they should start to run well. I'd be a big fan of Sageberg now at the minute. Okay, well, talking of size, you were at the Irish Stallion Stud Trail, whatever it's called, the weekend. We were just talking about this before we went on air. Any big eye catchers in the sire ranks that you've got to tell us about? Yeah, I was down on the Irish Stallion Trail there on Saturday. A really great initiative. Big crowds out across all the studs and great PR for some of the smaller yards. Two names for the notebook would be Diamond Boy, who's down in Kilbarry Lodge stud in Waterford. He stood in France for a couple of years and he's here now. Looks a nice horse. And another one is Van Danjur, who's a Galileo horse. Stood in France for a couple of years as well. He's an Angrove stud now as well. Two kind of newcomers to the Irish scene. I'd say they could go very well. And both national hunt size then? Absolutely, yeah. Any on the flat to mention? No, I'd be a national hunt man through and through, so I didn't even bother looking at any of the flat ones, to be honest. I'm sure plenty of us can relate to that. Right, we're going to take a quick break now, and then we're going to discuss all things Get a Bird and more, reflecting on the weekend's action.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, welcome back to this Monday Postcast. I mentioned at the top of the show that we sort of have got a bit of a tonic that we needed this weekend with a few impressive winners, Get a Bird, Waiting Patiently and the likes. We're going to talk about the former who won the Moscow Flying Novices Hurdle, a race that's been won by all of Willie Mullins' sort of recent greats, Tour, Duvan and Min. Lads, which race do we think he should run in at Cheltenham? I think initially they were leaning towards the Ballymore, but now he's won over the 2 miles. It's probably going to be the Supreme. Tom, what price is he for both of those?
For the Supreme, we went 5 from 8 initially after the Moscow Flyer, and he's been backed all the way into a 5-2 favourite now. Getabird, Sam Crow's next in at 3-1. I think the punting public at large have been really looking for a horse that can grab the market by the scruff of the neck. It's the first time in a couple of years we haven't had a Willie Mullins horse anti-post favourite before Christmas. So it's this looks a proper horse now. Really, really good performance the other day, and he's been very well supported in the last couple of days as well. Yeah, and what price is he for the Ballymore, just in case they did tend to go that way? For the Ballymore, he's 4-1. 4-1 there at the moment from 8s initially, so he's been backed in a little bit for that too. But it seems to be Supreme is more likely at the moment. Anyway, I got the impression that he surprised them a little bit because, as I say, I thought they were aiming towards the Ballymore, and they chucked him in this race just to see how he would cope. And his turn of foot was hugely impressive, wasn't it? Yeah, but no, it was great. He seemed to get the job done really well, and he put a good horse to bed. Mengley Khan is no slouch. Put him to bed very, very quickly. So it'll be interesting to see what they plan to do with him. I'd love to see him in the Supreme. Yeah. Okay, well, that's likely the way he's going to go, if the vibes are correct. Tom S., what did we make of Getabird?
I disagree with you there. I think he'll run in the Ballymore. I think they've got Sharjah for the Supreme. I think all season long they've been aiming at him at the Getabird at a longer trip. I think running around in the mud there's no relevance to the Cheltenham, to what they'll get at Cheltenham, and I think they'll split the two up. And I think Sharjah's probably the quicker horse of the two, judging on his performance at Leopardstown, the way he travelled through the race. I think he'll be more suited for the Supreme. I love Getabird. I think he did nothing wrong, but I think he will go in the longer race. That's how I'd do it if I was them, because they've got Sharjah for the other one. So that's where I'd go. I think he'd win it. I think 2.5 miles is perfect for him. I think he's just a really outstanding horse, and I think he'd beat Sam Crow no problem. So, but I know the punters have been latched onto him for the Supreme but I think that's because there is no horse in the Supreme at the moment to latch on to. So consequently, there was a big opportunity for a horse to shorten. He was that horse, whereas the other race they've got Sam Crow in there, so they sort of thought, what can we do with that race? We'll keep him. We'll shorten him up for the Supreme. I think he'll run in the Ballymore, and I think he'll win. Do you think he'll run again before Cheltenham? Look, there's all those races at Fairyhouse, aren't there? I know Willie Mullins they're all down there today for the press day down there. I don't know. My guess is, if you're an Irish trainer with Irish horses, you want to run in the big meetings over there. I would. So I guess he might run over there. I mean, the boys might know more than me. Okay. He's entered up in a couple of races there. I think it's 2.5 weeks now to the Dublin Racing Festival. I'm not sure if they'll definitely run him. You'd imagine that'd be enough for him to get him to the festival now. I don't know. They'll probably have Sharjah to come back from a fall. Yeah. And a few things like that. They've a couple of other horses. They'll split him up, though, won't they, Tom? They'll split him up, Tom. Don't you think? They will. Yeah, but I'm just not sure. They've plenty of horses to run. I mean, over this Dublin Racing Festival, as well as Getabird. So I'm not sure if he'll definitely get another run into him before. I got the opinion. It'll be interesting to see. Hearing what Patrick Mullins said, he sort of said, well, he surprised us because he showed he could jump at pace and he put it to bed really quickly. They've not really got another reason to run Getabird, whereas with Sharjah, obviously having fallen, maybe that's a bit more of an incentive to run. We'll let Jimmy get a word in edgeways here. Well, it's really interesting what Tom's saying, that he thinks he's going to run in the Ballymore, because if you look at him, I mean, it's a typical Ballymore horse, ex-pointer, very good bumper horse. And he jumps really well. I was really impressed with his jumping on Saturday. He's got a great turn of foot. Smaller field in the Ballymore, that might suit him too. He might be able to kind of dictate from the... You need lots of pace. I mean, it's been proved a good race for the champion hurdle in the past, hasn't it, the Ballymore? So, but Tom, where do you think Next Destination's going to run? Do you think he'll run in the Ballymore as well, or...? See, it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, I all along I've thought that they wouldn't run Next Destination in the 3-miler, but I wonder whether he might end up there. I mean, every year we have this discussion with Willie Mullins horses, don't we? And they tend to avoid each other. They tend not to run their best ones against each other, do they? I mean, we have it every single year, and I think Willie will try and win as many. Annie Power was the best example, wasn't it? I mean, he ran her over completely the wrong trip to avoid running her against Hurricane Fly. And I think we'll have the same all in the lead up until Cheltenham. And I don't think Willie will know until about declaration stage. But I think he'll end up splitting them up. I mean, obviously, things can change. Sharjah might blow out. But for me, the pace Sharjah showed, and as you point out, Gettysburg being a point-to-pointer, I think they'll go 2 miles Sharjah, 2.5 Gettysburg, and then 3 miles for next destination. That's what I'd do if I was theirs. And I think that's probably the way Willie will be thinking too.
I think we should get on the phone, Tom. I'll have the sound of that.
For what it's worth, I was working in Naas last Sunday week for the Lawlers Grade 1 hurdle, the next destination 1. And in the media huddle afterwards, I know Willie is liable to change his mind at any point, but he seemed the Ballymore was the likely target for next destination at the festival. But sure, we'll see whether that is actually what happens.
Yeah, isn't it funny?
I sat next to him once. I'll tell you a story. I sat next to Willie once at a preview night, and it was the day before declarations. And we were in this big hall. There must have been 1,000 people at Leopardstown, and we were sitting down and we said, "What race is this 5 for 3 running in, Willie?" And he said, "Well, we're definitely running in the Supreme. He'll be entered tomorrow for the Supreme, and we're going to run in it." We got up the next day. I was still in Ireland. I got the decks up, and it wasn't the Supreme, and it went and won the Neptune. I swear, I don't think he'll have any clue where he's going to run any of them yet, and he will go.
It's all very last minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, it seemed like during Christmas he had so many disappointments, and now he seems to have so many for every different race. It's funny how that works. Sticking with the novice hurdling theme, we're going to go to Warwick and talk about Mr. Whip's performance. He won the race, the Leamington Spa, that of course Willoughby Court won en route to what is now the Ballymore last year. Tom, what chance do you give him of following up at the festival, or do you think he'll go Albert Bartlett way or skip it altogether? Seagull, that is.
Well, as the boys have been saying there, I think the novice hurdle scene, which was pretty bare not that long ago, has suddenly sort of taken off, hasn't it? And if all these horses are turning up in the Ballymore, I think Mr. Whip will go somewhere else because I don't think he'll be quick enough. You've got to remember, Nicky's already got On the Blind Side, I think, which might be his horse for the. I know he's had a slight problem, but I think he's the one he's sort of thinking about for the Ballymore. My guess is that Mr. Whip might go up in trip, but there was that horse as well that Nicky won at Kempton, won by 20 lengths, didn't it? I can't remember the name of it on Saturday. Yeah, that's one. That's probably an Albert Bartlett horse too. I just
got Santini as well.
It was quite impressive. It wasn't anything like the race at Leopardstown or Fairyhouse at the weekend. So he's got a lot of improving to do. But he won with, he was pricking his ears. He won with his head in his chest. So I could see him going up in trip myself and maybe running in the Albert Bartlett. But he's a good horse. He's getting better, isn't he?
He was very green. I think he's just very babyish. Tom Nugent, how did the market react to Mr. Whipped?
Yeah, we went 10-1 from 14s for the Albert Bartlett, and he shortened up a little bit for the Ballymore as well. He went 14s from 20s. So at the moment it looks like the Albert Bartlett is the more likely target if our prices are to go by. Okay,
Jimmy, your analysis of Mr. Whipped?
Well, I think he's a future chasing type. I'm not sure he's a horse for the novice hurdles at Cheltenham this season. I'm not saying that he won't run. I just think we're likely to see the best of him later on in his career. It's a tricky one where he goes at Cheltenham, really, because I'm not sure, looking at his pedigree, he would stay the Albert Bartlett. He'd certainly need decent ground, I think, to have a chance. And I would be surprised if he was quick enough to win the Ballymore. So, yeah, I think he's a smashing type for the future, but maybe not a festival winner for this season.
Okay, now before...
I agree with that.
Okay, Tom's in agreement. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that one. Now, before we look at some of the other big performances from the weekend, here's your chance to win the free £25 or €25 bet. Simply tweet your answer to this question using the hashtag Postcast, and we'll announce the winner on Friday's show. This week's question is, how many times has Undersow won the Clarence House Chase?
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, welcome back to this Monday Postcast. We've got James Hill in the studio and Tom Seagull and Tom Nugent on the line as well. We've discussed some of Kempton, but I want to go back there again. We had the likes of Radishan. We've mentioned Chef de Zobo. Jenkins won the race. We've got the Lanzarote to mention. Plenty, and of course, Waiting Patiently and Fountains Windfall. So lots and lots to get through. I think Waiting Patiently is probably the place to start. Tom Nugent, I think they've now indicated that they're going to go for the Ascot Chase on the 17th of Feb, and then perhaps the Ryanair. I think the ground is the main thing with him. What changes did you make to him in the Ryanair market?
Yeah, he shortened up for the Ryanair 6-1 now from 10s, but he's actually shortened in again now. He's an 11-2 shot, waiting patiently. Undersawyer 5-2 favourites still at the moment. Okay, and what
did you make of waiting patiently? Because I thought he was just brilliant.
Yeah, he was really, really good. In a Ryanair context, I'm coloured by the fact that Undersaw is probably my favourite horse in training. So just can't see him being really pushed too hard. Obviously, waiting patiently is a very good performance, solid horse, but he's not the winner in my eyes.
Okay, he's not the winner, simple as. Jimmy, what did you make of waiting patiently?
Oh, you had to be impressed. I suppose the only thing I'd say, I thought the front two, Godzone and Armaresse, probably went got racing a bit too early and paid for it late on. So they sort of set the race up for waiting patiently. But I loved his finishing effort. As regards Cheltenham, I mean, he's clearly a horse who needs a bit of cut in the ground. So he might not be a horse for the spring. And he looks a 3-miler to me anyway, the way he races. So, I mean, I'd be thinking about next season's King George, to be honest with you, because he's clearly got a massive engine. And I know they missed Cheltenham last season, but if it's quick again, I'd be tempted to wait another year, simply because I think they've got a really nice prospect. I mean, he's unbeaten over fences, unblemished record, and you know, he's now got that form around Kempton. So I think the King George in 2018 this year could be the race for him.
Yeah, well, he's correctly named, isn't he? Because they have had to wait patiently for him, but they might have to again. Yeah, Tom, what was your analysis of him?
Look, he's done. I like him. I think he's really, really good, isn't he? One thing I would say is it wasn't that bad at Kempton on Saturday in terms of ground. We're sitting here saying that it was terrible. You know, they whipped round in 3:55 or something for one of the handicap hurdles over 2 miles. Can't have been terrible ground there. I thought he was pretty impressive. I wouldn't be so convinced he needs heavy ground or really soft ground. I think they might wait. They might use that as an excuse for missing Cheltenham if conditions don't come up. But I think he's a pretty good horse. The time was excellent, and it wasn't that bad, the ground, I didn't think, at Kempton on Saturday. Never is. I wouldn't. If I was him, I'd be very, very tempted to run him in the Ryanair or the Champion Chase.
I was going to say, they've mentioned going back to 2 miles. How do you think he would fare in that division?
He's fine. I think he's fine. I think we all get heads up about trips here, there, and everywhere. If you're a good horse, you go on it. You know, all those horses, they can. You know, if you're a good horse, you'll run from 2 to 3. If you don't stay 3, that's fine. But all those good horses, it's about, you know, jump racing's about, they just keep going at the same pace most of the time. It's not, I mean, we always say they're quick enough. No one of these horses quick enough. They just get progressively slower. So if he can run fast for 2 miles, he can run fast for 2.5 miles, in my opinion. So I wouldn't worry about trips for him at all. I think he's very good. I think the trainer's exceptional. He's got a very good record at Cheltenham. Let's not forget he trained the Yarkle second last year, Cloudy Dream. He's got a pretty good record at Cheltenham, going back a long time. I would be very interested in him in whichever race he ran in if he went, but it's a hard one. I mean, your boy Tom there's non-runner, no bet, but the problem with non-runner, no bet is you're taking half the price of what he, you know, if he runs, he'll probably be 8-1. You ask him to take 11-2 now, so it's a tricky one. You know, if I was you, I'd wait, back him on the day, because I think he'll be a bigger price on the day than he is non-runner, no bet now. But I could see him running in either race, and I think he'd have a chance in both. I mean, the Champion Chase is wide open at the moment, and none of the horses seem to want to run or come out. So a lot of water under the bridge in these races, but I wouldn't advise backing him yet. I don't think there's any mileage in that at all.
So in theory, if he ran in this Clarence House Chase, he got good to soft, you know, softish ground against Undersow, whose side would you be on?
What, the one on Saturday or the one later on in the season?
Let's just say he ran on Saturday, just over 2 mile, 1 furlong, just to get an idea of where you think he stands.
I'd be on brain power.
Never want to answer a question straight. Fair enough. Jimmy, what about you? Just to throw a question out there.
What, if he took on Underscone, the Champion Chase? I'd be with Undersell all the way. He doesn't look like a 2 miler to me at all, waiting patiently. I mean, the Champion Chase, you can get Champion Chases where it actually can be a real slog. They're just very rare nowadays. I mean, I remember the one Flagship Uberales won with Nathan Upmanship second. I mean, they were under pressure the whole way, those two. and just outstayed the speedsters. That was on quite soft, gluey ground. I mean, you just very rarely get that at Cheltenham in March. That's the thing.
Well, we've seen in recent years these 2-milers going on to win King George's and all sorts, sizing John a prime example of that. Now, we were speaking before we went on air on how good a weekend it was for Anthony Honeyball. Of course, he had Fountains Windfall, who he says he's probably the best horse he's ever trained, winning at Kempton finally after falling a few times. And then Miss Parfois, who I absolutely loved and I could eulogise about all day, winning at beating the boys at Warwick. Tom Nugent, what price is Fountains Windfall for the RSA now? A lot of people like him for that, don't they?
Yeah, indeed. Fountains Windfall now 8 from 10 for the RSA, and Miss Parfois, as you mentioned there, she's 33 to 1 for a show for the RSA at the moment.
Okay, and what did you make of Fountains Windfall? Would he be firmly on your RSA radar?
He's grand. At 33 to 1, I'd much rather Miss Parfois each way. I thought she's an absolute beast. She's a massive mare, and she's only going to improve. She stays all day as well. I was really, really impressed with her now. Far more than I was with Fountains Windfall, to be honest.
Okay, and you're mentioning
Blimey, you're a harsh man to please, aren't you?
You're mentioning
the best performance by a staying novice I've seen this season by a country mile. I thought he was brilliant. I don't think they should be in the same race, Miss Parfois and Fountains Windfall. I think it's a mismatch. I think Fountains Windfall is a massive player in the RSA. I think he would have won the Felton by an absolute mile. And I think on Saturday, giving £12 to those horses that are pretty good horses, and you absolutely cantered all over them. I thought it was an exceptionally good effort from Fountains Windfall. And, he's got those 2 Fs by his name, but I think he's a proper horse, him. I love him. I'd have him at the top of my RSA market at the moment. I think he's the one to beat. Okay.
They were unlucky falls, though, weren't they, Tom? Like, he's not really showed fundamental flaws in his jumping.
He's a very, very good jumper.
Yeah.
I think it just didn't get his landing gear out in the Felton, but I think we've all underestimated. I think he would have won the Felton by, might bike distances. He would have been miles clear if he hadn't fallen. He had Black Courton and Elegant, good horses. They were all totally getting thrashed by him that day. I think he's really good. I think he's just totally different class to Miss Parfois, whatever she's called. And I think he's a really, really big player at Cheltenham.
Okay, before I go to Jimmy, just want to ask Tom, you were saying that Miss Parfois, we think she could go for the 4-miler. Have you got a price on her for that?
Yeah, she's in the 4-miler there at the moment. She was a 20 to 1 first show for the National Hunt Chase.
Okay, Jimmy. So, what was your analysis of Fountains Windfall? I mean, Tom's eulogising about something left, right, and centre.
Hugely impressed. He did win very nicely. He was an odds-on shot. He went off just a shade of odds-on, didn't he? And the one thing I would disagree with what Tom said, I'm not sure that was that good a race actually.
The Porto Star.
No, the one on Saturday. With Ballycan in second, and the Young Master in third. I think both those 2 horses can run better than that. They're better on better ground. And yes, Fountain, we know he's a good horse from his performance at Aintree over hurdles last season, and he's definitely an RSA contender. But I think he should have won that race nicely on Saturday. I didn't think it was that good. And I didn't think that the one that Miss Parfois won at Warwick was that good either. I really, think she's a terrific jumper, but I think she's got a lot of ground to make up on the class horses in the RSA, at the moment. So I would think probably you're more likely to see her in one of the handicaps at the festival or the 4-miler. I just think she'd have a better chance of winning one of those than the RSA. I mean, it's a race for future Gold Cup horses. I'm not sure she's quite in that class.
Okay. Well, maybe a ground issue with her as well. She wants to go where there's a bit more cut in the ground. Warwick, the rest of Warwick, of course, Milan's Barn, Bryony Frost again. She's winning absolutely everything. Everyone's talking about her. She's a great personality. She's doing great things for the sport at the minute. And the horse just loved it, didn't he? Never really saw another rival. What do we think looking forward, of course, to the Grand National? One for Arthur did the double last year. Tom Nugent, how did the market react?
Yeah, she's 50 to 1. Milan's Bar 50 to 1 first show for the National at the moment.
Yeah, if we go to you, Jimmy, then your analysis of Milan's Bar, he was spectacular, wasn't he?
Well, he's a completely different horse from the one we saw at Chepstow. It's amazing what a pair of blinkers and a change of tactics can do to a horse, in the space of a week. A similar story with Jenkins, really. I mean, he looked completely revitalised in the blinkers as well. Great performance by Milan's Bar, but personally, I'd be surprised if he could ever do that again. And I'd be surprised as well if he was up to winning a Grand National. But that was a good performance. I don't want to knock it.
Yeah. I was going into the race. I didn't think it was the strongest Classic Chase I've ever seen.
They went Tom, some pace, though, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Tom, would you be in agreement with that, Thomas?
Well, I don't think he'll get in. He's only rated 134 at the moment. He's going to probably go up £8.
Yeah.
You have to be 145 or something these days. So he's got to, if he goes up £10, then he's on the cusp. Do I think he'll win? No, because I don't think he'll be able to dominate, and I think that was the key to him on Saturday. I wouldn't fancy him at all.
Okay, fair enough. That's Milan's bar then. Any other weekend eye catchers or names to put in your Racing Post horse trackers from this weekend? Tom Nugent, I'll go across to you first.
One from Dundalk to keep an eye on through the flat season. Gunmaker won quite easily. He could prove profitable to follow through the season. And the bumper in Fairyhouse yesterday was very good. I'd say the two horses that pulled clear, Tornado Flyer and Getaway John, could prove quite sharp. I'd say they're worth following.
Okay, he's related to Hurricane Fly, isn't he? The winner, the Mullins?
Yeah, Tornado Flyer is out of a full or a half sister to Hurricane Fly, I think. Yeah.
So one to definitely keep an eye on. Tom Siegel.
Well, I'm a bit of a sentimentalist, believe it or not, but I was watching Kempton on Saturday, thinking it is just such a shame if we don't get to see jump horses run around here for much longer, because I think it's the best track in the country for seeing speed horses jumping at speed. I think Kempton and Newbury are my favourite tracks for jumping, and I thought every single winner and loads of horses that ran at Kempton on Saturday are potential Cheltenham horses. I think you could fancy Jenkins for the County Hurdle. I think you could fancy William Henry for the Coral Cup. Waiting Patiently, we know, is really good. Fountains Windfall for the RSA. I thought Chef des Obeaux was fantastic and could run in the Albert Bartlett. And Rhodesian, which we haven't mentioned, I thought sprinted up the straight there to put himself right in the line for the triumph. So I love Kempton. I thought the racing there was exceptional. And then my advice to everyone is to keep watching those races at Kempton over and over again before you get to Cheltenham, because I think they're going to play a big part in lots of the races. I'd even throw in Mercy and Prince. If he runs, I thought he was really, really good in the handicap. If he runs in the Topham on good ground, I'd give him a shot too. I just thought it was a fantastic meeting, the best one we've had this season, and the one with the most relevance to Cheltenham so far.
Absolutely love that. Well said. And here. Jimmy, eye catcher?
Yeah, Chef des Obeaux at Kempton. Just actually add to what Tom was saying about Kempton. I mean, the Racing Post Chase Day used to be the key trial day for the Cheltenham Festival. I mean, it still produces winners at Cheltenham all the time. So it's a fantastic track. Chef des Obeaux, I thought, looked at an Albert Bartlett horse. If you get a slog in the Albert Bartlett, which you sometimes do, that's exactly the sort of horse you want to be with. They're not always the quickest. They just keep going and going. And he didn't look like he was going to win at all about 3 out. But, I mean, he won by nearly 20 lengths in the end. He's just got loads of stamina. So he's definitely a horse to keep on side in the novice division. What
price can we get on Chef des Obeaux for the Albert Bartlett, Tom?
1 second now.
Well, I love putting him on the spot like this. It's a bit nasty.
Yeah.
While he's looking that up, Maddie, I'll give you one. I thought in the Lanzarote, I thought Dr. Newland's horse, La Patriot or whatever. I thought he went through the race like a really well-handicapped horse, didn't stay the trip. I thought a race like the race the Imperial Cup, the one he won it with, Dr. Newland won it with Ebony something a couple of years ago. Very similar type horse. I thought he might be sort of an interesting horse for a 2-mile handicap hurdle. I think he's well handicapped.
Love it. That's perfect. Tom, have you got the price?
How about that,
Just
Tom?
about.
Just about.
You're a lifesaver, Tom. You're a lifesaver. Chef des Obeaux 10-1 shot for the Albert Bartlett.
10-1. There you are. Now, before you leave us, we want to make you aware that Patrick Mullins is joining the Postcast panel tomorrow for the latest of our Cheltenham Anti-Post previews. This time, we're going to be looking ahead to the Gold Cup, so make sure you don't miss that. Tom, you'll be joining us then. Any taster or early thoughts on that you can give us for the Gold Cup?
Which Tom? Me again?
Yes, you. Sorry.
I'm not. Unfortunately, Maddie, I cannot make it tomorrow.
Oh, you
can't?
I have
got a dentist appointment tomorrow afternoon. So, unfortunately, Patrick and I's our diaries didn't mix, so I can't make it. I had a good look at it last week. Every person I ever speak to seems to tell me I got it wrong because I didn't tip Manella Rocco. But I have to admit, I'm not a great fan of last year's champion Gold Cup form. I think the winner's very good. I think the rest are only average. I'd be surprised if Manella Rocco or Native River could win. I was looking for some up-and-comer because we were spoilt with Corto Star and Best Mate and, Long Run and horses like that kept coming back. Horses don't often come back. So I think this year's race is wide open. I'm a fan of Road to Respect. I think he'll go well, but I like Tony Martin's horse that ran in the Paddy Power Handicap Chase. He's only had 2 runs in life over 3 miles, Annabelle Fly. I think he's an out-and-out stayer. I think if you look back through his novice hurdle form, his novice chase form, he's right there with all the best Irish novices, Road to Respect and the horse of Eddie Harty's that won at Ascot, which I've forgotten.
Coney Island.
Coney Island.
I cannot remember any names anymore.
Just remember the right ones, Tom.
Right in there. I thought at 33.40 to 1 for a stayer that's going to run in the Irish Gold Cup. If you could have got that non-runner no bet, I thought it was a great bet because I think if he runs any sort of race there, I think he'll be a lot better at Cheltenham over the extra trip. And so I think the race is wide open and he'd do for me.
Okay, well, if that's not enough to get you excited about tomorrow, I'm not sure what is. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you never miss another show and subscribe to us on iTunes. We'll see you tomorrow.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.